Episode 106 of the Wilderness Podcast is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Support the show at patreon.com/thewildernesspodcast. Our supporter of the week is Dean Russin. We're also brought to you by Audible. Get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. Welcome to episode 106 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dills, and with me is Deegan.
Hey, how's it going?
So this week, Jagex made some changes to the Kebos Lowlands dev blog. Did some clarifications of certain things that they described in it. Anyways, doesn't matter. They also released another dev blog with a bunch of different things, such as the spellbook being reworked for mobile. Well, made it more easier to use on mobile. The Wise Old Man got some changes and a bunch of other fun stuff.
Yeah.
As for community chatter, we got, I don't know if it's a reveal or if they just clarified how the Rev Cave loot works.
Little hidden Easter egg, kind of, that they were like, no, here you go. This is little.
Just came up on Twitter.
It's not really an Easter egg, but a little snippet of useful information.
It's something.
Yeah.
The logo or the banner for the old school RuneScape login page had a little something added.
Mm-hmm.
Some people aren't happy about it. Some information on, some future information on what exactly is real world trading.
Yep.
And a player suggestion for imbuing your rings. It's a pretty good idea, but we'll get into that later. So let's jump right into it. Deegan, how was your week? Anything fun? You did HEMA this week.
Yeah.
Did you slay any dragons?
So let's start off with this. I quit my job.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you're unemployed now. You joined the unemployed life with me.
Yeah. So I'm going to go find a new job.
We'll be job hunting. We should get the same job somewhere again.
You know what we should do? Every month, we just quit and find a new job.
Like, that's a very stable idea.
Well, what we do, because then, like, we just go in, we're like, man, this is all the issue with this place. And then as soon as, like, you kind of can't talk about it, you just move on to the next job. And then eventually,
Eventually what?
I don't know.
You go on welfare and disability?
Yeah. You fake an injury at, like, a construction site or something.
It's a prime idea.
Yeah.
All right, so no job now. But you are a historical European medieval fighter.
Technically, yes. Legally, yes. I'm actually now considered a weapon. No, I'm kidding. I hate those people that say that shit. You ever meet those people?
Oh, I've met them. I would get into the argument where he's like, it sucks. I have a black belt in Taekwondo, but I legally can't fight back. You know how hard it is if you're at a bar and the guy tries to punch you? I have to sit there and take it, because if I fight him back, I may as well have a knife.
Yeah, so the deadly weapon, bro. Once a month, or once a year, I have to go get my leg certified as a weapon. But
no, it does not work like that.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So
how would they even know? Are you walking around with a black belt and they're just, you can order one offline? I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, I still wear my white belt from judo.
Technically a weapon, just a very dull weapon.
Yeah, I use it as like a fist filler. Wraps for my sword, because now I fight with swords. Well, I legally have to carry one with me now. Now I'm a guardsman of the people. It's how it works in Canada. No, in all seriousness, no. Though
yeah, we don't have policemen. We have knights.
Knights and RCMP, so knights on horses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
So you see one with a mace or a flail, that's like a commander. That's the chief.
Usually their horse is a little fucked up, though. Little misfires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rough when they encounter a criminal with an actual gun. It's not good.
It's cool, though. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah, but the thing is, they try to just overwhelm them with numbers. So you'll just, if a gunman's on the street, you'll sometimes hear just like charge and like 7 guys rushing the one dude.
Yeah, like armed robberies happen and like there's no policemen anywhere.
They siege
Ontario.
the bank. They'll siege the bank and prevent food and stuff from getting in.
Yeah, they actually starve out plenty of armed robbers this way, and they just have to give up at some point.
It just sucks because, like, you might need money from the bank, and you have to wait a couple weeks, sometimes months.
Yeah.
And there's no survivors ever.
Yeah, I mean, the cannons definitely do help. We got cannons now, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely helps when, defending the borders and whatnot.
Lots of friendly fire, though.
Yeah, a lot. Anyways, though, in all seriousness, I did my first HEMA class, and I think I mentioned it whenever that I was really worried that it was either like it was going to be one of two things. One, martial arts, but with swords.
That's the ideal.
That's cool, right? Because I like the whole like concept of like when you like going to a martial arts class, just like the pacing of it, and then you like learn some stuff each week.
Yeah, you become like a little bit of a community.
Yeah. The way they explained it to me, it was kind of like the class was very small, but they also supply the equipment. Because the equipment is like $350 for a weapon, $100 for the helmet, couple hundred for like the, you know what I mean? It's like, if you want to get into it on your own, it's like $1,000 just to like buy the stuff. You know what I mean? Where judo was what? Like, you'd buy your gi?
Yeah.
And that was it.
Usually supplied with your, like, you pay like $120, get the first like 6 months free, plus a gi.
Yeah. Which is like a karate outfit. But yeah, and then my worry was like, I show up and it's just like, do you have your character sheet ready? And I'm like, oh fuck, and it's like real life Dungeons and Dragons or some shit.
Yeah. Swords plus 5 strength. Yeah, I think we went through this bit before.
Yeah, rehashing bits. Yeah, anyways, so I went in. Well, me and our buddy / roommate went, or our buddy / roommate and I went, and they almost gave us the right address. We were able to like decode it. I think it's like step 1 to make sure that you're like fit for HEMA. It's like decode bad directions. So we were able to figure out where they were, and like we ended up at like a library, and that was weird. And then we like saw a dude with like a bunch of swords, and we're like, okay, we're in the right place. We go and find him. He's like,
we're in the right place or the very wrong place.
The ghetto. You like I said, the whole swords and sieging. Yeah. But
gangs here are just cavalry units, basically.
Yeah. Drive-bys are weird. But anyway,
arrows, shooting arrows out of their car.
Yeah. So we end up like finding the place and blah 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 blah. We go in, talk to the guy. He's pretty cool, I guess. You know, he's pretty chill, normal dude. Ends up being what I expected or what I hoped, which was like just a martial arts thing with like swords. Typical, you know, do a little workout, teach you some like techniques and stuff. Like we learned like guard positions, like 4 guard positions, and then like a technique, and then you just do like not really sparring, but like practice.
Like shadow boxing with swords?
Kind of. You would go really slow, but like strong, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
It'd be like you like throw a slow punch at someone, but like if you hit them, you're just gonna keep digging in and not stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously it's everyone's like first lesson.
Can't just go decapitating people in the first class.
Yeah, not yet. That's second. So it's coming up in a couple days. Yeah, I don't know. It was really cool. It was pretty fun. Yeah, I liked it a lot. So I think the way this club is running is that like last week was its very first class ever. So we had the trainer and then 2 of his assistants. Then there's like 5 of us that were being like trained or like learning.
Cool.
Including like me. You know what I mean? So it's a really small class size.
Yeah.
But it's like 6 weeks of like you like learn shit. And then after 6 weeks, it becomes like a normal class where you would like kind of go in and just like do some shit. You know what I mean? Like it's like
you go practice and spar and stuff.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool because it's like day 1 of like a new thing that might go like really big at some point.
Yeah. You're right there to see if it'll like... It's like when cable TV was failing and Netflix came in. Very small at first, but it blew up. So you want to be there before it blows up.
Yep. Funny enough, my childhood friend had old school Netflix where you'd write a list and you'd mail it in. And
our grandparents had that.
Yeah, they'd send you like DVDs and you'd send them back. Yeah, it was cool as hell. I remember going to his house and be like, yo, dude, what do you want to watch next week? And then we'd like write like a list of movies that like we would just Google around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Anyways, yeah, so HEMA's cool. So I don't know what's happening for next lesson, but
probably same place, same thing, right?
Well, like, yeah, in terms of like what we're learning, I don't know though. I never realized actually like how difficult it is. I kind of just assume you just like hack away, you know what I mean? You just start swinging.
Yeah.
But there's like actually like a lot of technique, which makes it sounds dumb saying it out loud, but you like don't realize it. And like if you've ever played like baseball or golf, like that whole concept of having to move your whole body, moving your whole body at like different moments and like hitting the ball.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to that. And like I'm really bad at golf and really bad at baseball. So it's like difficult. It's kind of weird, but
it's probably similar to judo, where you maybe someone might go into it having no knowledge of it, thinking, "Oh, you just got to be strong. You just throw someone or trip them." But in reality, you're using your body to like
it's momentum based,
and you use it as like a pivot point, sort of, right? To use their weight against them.
There's a lot of like similarities of like momentum based for some of the stuff.
Yeah,
but like the footwork that goes behind it, like I would have to sit there and like. You know when you try and wrap your head around something, like you have that feeling in your, I don't know if you like trying to like think things through, like if I'm learning something, I'll like have to sit there and like think about, okay, I'm going to do this, and then, you know what I mean? I have to like think
run
about
through the steps,
each movement and then like practice them individually, then like kind of put them all, you know what I mean?
And then it all
like,
becomes just, you know, you memorize it. It's all muscle memory. You don't even need to think about it.
But it's like that, you know, that weird like feeling you get in your brain?
I think so.
Thinking, whatever that is. But no, yeah, just trying to like figure something out. I don't know. Anyways, it was fun. Blah, 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 blah. Who cares? That was pretty much it that happened this week in real life. RuneScape related. Didn't play that much. Just AFK'd my Omni Mauler. Got like one strength level.
Fun.
So not that much. And then did a little rune crafting. Did my first master clue.
Ooh.
Got like 400k. I was just like, yeah, I can do it now. So I might as well. So I just did it. And then I did Rev Caves.
Cool. Big loot.
So I think I'm at like a formal tab right now. I don't know how many hours I've put in, but it's been like a day and a half. Not straight. Just a couple hours and stuff.
Damn. It's good money there.
Yeah. I was kind of pissed. I was filling up my vape and Vape Nation, and I saw someone had got like the ancient statue out, which is 2 mil.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw that in the chat as I'm filling it up, killing someone at Revs. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Go and, you know, make sure everything's fine. I'm not spilling anything. And then I'm just like kind of dicking around, making sure my Omni Mauler's fine, blah, 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 blah. And then I look back and I see a team.
Yeah.
And they're all like level like 80s and stuff, so they can't even hit me. Like, okay, whatever. Go back, you know, moving things around on my desk, getting it all ready just to like continue like doing revs. And then I look up and I see like a bunch of people running towards me, and I'm standing right next to the ancient statuette. Like just 2 mil sitting next to me, and they fucking beat me to it. Some low level guy snagged it and just tellied out, and I was so sad.
That's rough.
But yeah, I'm at like formal profit. It's easy money. I mean, I died with like 1.5 mil loot once. I just kept getting like dragon plate legs and stuff over and over.
It's hard to leave right away. You're like, well, I might as well fill up this looting bag.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's easy money and it's consistent. So it's nice.
Yeah.
It's not like raids where I could put 30 hours in and you get paid out with like 200k.
True. Fair enough.
I think that's it for me though. What'd you this week?
What did I do this week? Not a whole lot. Just been going to the gym a bunch. You took HEMA. I took my first yoga class on Sunday. How's that? That was fun. I think I torqued my back. I got a terrible back. It's a lot of weird and awkward like twists and movements. It was fun though. I enjoyed it. It was a workout.
Should make you grab like 50-pound plates and start twisting your back as hard as you can.
Yeah, just torque it. You need to twist it and jerk it as fast as you can.
Yeah, sounds like my Friday nights.
Oh, shit.
Nice. Good jokes. But, yeah, you liked it? It was good?
Yeah, it was good. I'll probably go again just because it was kind of a workout, right? I'm trying to go to the gym 6 days a week now, trying to get fit, trying to get that beach body going.
Yep.
We got a long way to go. The RuneScape body took over for a bit.
Yeah.
But, you know, it happens. And, yeah, so it was fun. But besides that, what have I been doing on RuneScape? I'm like halfway to level 99 fletching.
92?
Sort of. No, I'm like 400, 500k until 99.
Nice.
I'll probably get that one this week. Some Vorkath. Not a whole lot on RuneScape. Just some fletching and slowly chipping away at Vorkath. It's taking me like 3 months, but I'm like 48 kills to go. I'm just lazy. Get bored. I do like a run. 2 runs, get like 6 kills, and call it a day. I had bird's nests in my GE since June.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You can go back and find the day when I bought it because I was like, oh, I'm going to make so much money off this. It's a secret because birds' nests are dropping. They went from like 4K down to like 2.5K.
Yep, I remember that because I bought them when they started to go up again, and I just sold them for what I bought them at.
I bought 13 mil worth.
Nice.
And I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to wait for it to go. It's going to go back up to 4K. Everyone needs Sarah brews. And as the months go on, it keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. And it's at like 1.5K. So I lost like 1K per bird's nest.
Please tell me you held out, though.
Sold them today.
You made money, though?
No. Lost money in the end. But I was sitting there and I'm like, you know what? Since I bought Rigger, I don't really have that much money.
Wait a minute. What'd you sell them at?
I bought them at 2.5K.
Yeah.
I sold them for 1.8K each.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's not too bad then.
Lost like 3 mil though. 3-4 mil. But I was just like, I could hold out, but I have no money right now. And over the course of like 4 months, at this point I'm holding out for it just to make it so I don't lose any money. I was like, you know what? I don't care if I lose like 3 mil. I just need the money now. I can do more with it. No more merchant.
Yeah.
Stay away from that one for a bit, but yeah, that's my week right there.
There's a reason why they went up to like 1.8ish K. I don't know if we should save it for community chatter because I think we forgot to mention it, or we can talk about it now. But the bug, the exploit people found that got patched.
Oh, that's right. You brought this to my attention the other day, and I totally forgot. Let's keep it as a teaser.
Okay.
You gotta remind me though, because I don't have it in the notes. Anyways, let's move on to the news.
Alright, so I guess we'll start off with some of the clarifications that they had to the Cabos Lowlands.
Yeah, they did some changes too.
Yep.
After getting some feedback on certain things.
Yep. So, first off, they moved the herb patch from the first farming guild tier to the second, just to make it more rewarding, so you can unlock the second.
Cool.
They clarified some details of the bottomless compost bucket. Most importantly, it's tradable when empty. I'm not sure if we talked about that.
Okay.
But it will be a tradable item. They added some details regarding the Celestris patch. Yeah, they're treated like an herb patch, pretty much.
I think the way a herb patch works is you have basically quote-unquote lives, and when you're picking them, every now you'll randomly fail, and then once you deplete that, your patch disappears.
Yeah, so let's say...
So there's a minimum amount you can actually get. Yeah, but it'd be like between 6 and like 15, let's say.
It's dependent on like the compost and all that stuff as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then every time you pick from it, it's like, do you deplete that? Whatever. Sometimes you don't, sometimes you do.
So basically the battle staff tree will be similar to herb patches.
Yeah, you'll get a guaranteed a certain number.
Yeah, and it'll fluctuate between blank and blank.
Yeah. So they lowered the level requirement for snape grass from 71 farming to 61.
Sounds fair.
Yeah, a little balance. They added some details about the anima patches dying. So
seems like the only thing they added was there would be an in-game message when it has died.
Yeah. They clarified some more details regarding the large compost bin.
So I think what they added was you will be able to use 50 volcanic ash to convert a bin of super compost to ultra compost.
Yeah. They added some details regarding the other creatures found within the Karulm Slayer dungeon.
So it looks like they added that the Karulm Slayer dungeon will also include greater demons, hellhounds, and fire giants.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty fitting. They added some more details stating the granite boots can be used within the Karulm Slayer dungeon. Those are the ones that you upgrade, right?
Looks like they just clarified that you can wear boots of stone or granite boots in order to avoid taking damage.
Yeah, okay. And they clarified details regarding task-only and non-task-only areas for Hydras. And Hydras is the new 95 Slayer boss. So I guess it's not an on-task-only boss?
That's the alchemical Hydra you're thinking of.
Oh,
regular
right.
Hydras are just the regular monsters.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Alright, I'll take it. They confirmed the Dragon Hunter Lance is one-handed. It was kind of assumed, though, because it's a has to upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah. They added an additional question for the Ferocious Gloves that we mentioned, or we talked about. And they added the requirement of Dragon Slayer 2 to equip them.
So that's pretty cool. So it says here that You will receive the gloves as broken, but you will need to bring it to a person in the Myths Guild to repair them.
And they changed the drop rate of the mulch pearls from 150 to 1. Sorry. They changed the rate of receiving mulch pearls from 1 out of 150 to 1 out of 100.
Okay.
Yeah, nice little change, I guess. That's it for the change log as of right now.
So you were complaining about the ferocious gloves before.
Yeah.
How do you feel now? Good change? You don't need to complete Recipe for Disaster for them, but you will need to complete Dragon Slayer too.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty set on not needing RFD for them, so I'll take it.
I think it is a cool way of doing it. You got to bring it to a guy in the Myths Guild who will repair it. It's pretty cool. And it's also, you should note, you can only trade the broken pair of gloves.
Yeah.
So you can break them yourself and sell them, but the person, you know what I mean, you can't just give it to a pure. They need to be able to access the Myths Guild.
Yeah, on to what we get this week, I guess. The actual updates. So I guess we'll start off by talking about the spellbook rework, which is pretty interesting, I'd say, actually. I think it's pretty neat. So the spellbook rework affects mobile as of right now. They'll probably bring it to PC at some point because they kind of said they'd do that.
Mm-hmm. It is a change that, I mean, RuneScape 3 has it. Well, they changed this a long time ago. Anyways, go into it and you'll see why people might want this.
Yeah. So the spellbook tab on mobile now has an info button at the bottom for entering info mode. And in that mode, tapping a spell will bring up a tooltip that shows the required runes and magic level, making this information properly accessible for mobile users. There's also a filter button to bring up the menu of simple filters. These let you choose which spells you want to see as you want to, or like hide unwanted spells. This will like respace the remaining icons and make them substantially larger if the list is short enough to fill them. This should help you tap through the correct buttons while spellcasting. So you can filter out combat, teleport, and utility spells. You can show like spells that you lack the magic level to cast, so you can make it so you can only see the spells you can cast currently. And you can also make it so you could only like cast spells that you have the runes to cast.
Well, you can see the spells you can cast with the runes you have. So it would hide all spells that you don't have the runes for.
Might make Vorkath pretty nice. Crumble Undead, teleport.
Yeah.
Add those dust runes and stuff to your bag. But yeah, so I think, this has been a requested feature for a while. They say it's been requested since like even as far back as 2013, 2014.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they tried to pull it and it failed.
Mm-hmm. They brought it out on mobile because those users had considerably greater difficulty tapping on the spell icons. You know, once they fix it, they'll be willing to put it to desktop.
They're really hoping with mobile being released that a bunch of new players are going to play, so they're trying to make everything as easy as possible for them. Not like easy escape, but just so that clicking a spell isn't going to come with a lot of frustration. Because that might make someone who just started the game be like, you know what, this is stupid. Sure, this game is alright, but there's so many things that are a pain in the ass to actually use on mobile, and I don't have a PC at home, so I'm not going to, whatever. I'm okay with dropping this game.
Mm-hmm. So, while the changes sound small, there's been a vast amount of infrastructure rework involved, and they had to do a lot of work within the code to, make this kind of work. And then we talked a bit about it last episode, but if you run into problems, you can get your messages directly to the testers by right-clicking the report button, long press if you're on mobile, find the bugs. They say, I'm going to quote them, but we've also taken the opportunity to tidy up a couple of long-standing niggles.
What?
I've never heard that word before. What does that mean? Cause slight but persistent annoyance, discomfort, or anxiety. Learn something new every day.
The British are really good with that English language.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, exactly.
Who would have thunk?
Some of the things they've taken the opportunity to tidy up, I guess, are the uneven column spacings on the ancient spellbook that were like 1 or 2 pixels off, the inconsistent order of runes in the ingredients list, and a lot of random little maintenance stuff like that to just keep everything consistent and nice, proper. I guess while we're on this topic, mobile does come out for iOS and Android on the 30th of October.
We got like 2 weeks.
Yeah, so save the date.
And I know that I've been seeing just on Reddit on a bunch of other subreddits, like there's a gaming subreddit, which is just for games in general. Somebody took the time to make a huge post on what is old school RuneScape, what's there to do, what makes this game so much fun. Basically trying to get people interested for when mobile is released. And it's interesting to see the feedback. A lot of people are kind of hyped for this. Maybe not as much as I had originally anticipated back when we heard about mobile, but it's going to bring in some new players for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we've talked about it before, but it's going to be one of the most polished and well-done MMOs, not only just on mobile, but there's so much to do in general. So when you compare it to just MMOs in general, old school RuneScape is kind of its own monster. People who play World of Warcraft might take a jab at people who play old school RuneScape.
Oh, not anymore. Everyone hates his new expansion, apparently.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I've heard a little... Dude, so many people in my guild quit.
Because of it.
Yeah, everyone hates the new expansion. It's really bad.
And then you look at old school RuneScape, and it's doing better than ever.
Yeah, it's growing.
It is. Every year we're hitting new milestones.
Yeah, maybe one day old school will be the big titan.
That's so weird, isn't it?
At this rate, dude...
That's really saying something when you have a game that looks like World of Warcraft, and then you look at old school RuneScape. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, one's growing and one's like dying like hard. A lot of people, yeah. Anyways,
they've been doing good. The devs have been doing good, and what we're going to be seeing this year, I think, is some really nice updates that are just going to add to the game.
But yeah, so I guess we'll move on to some more things that they changed. One being the special attack bar. The attack style interface has been rewritten on both desktop and mobile. So desktop users will see no difference in the usage, but the special attack bar has changed a little bit. The special attack bar was the only bar of its kind in-game that used a model instead of just being a color. The bar itself now uses a block color like everything else. I don't know. I don't understand exactly, the big deal about this.
I don't know the big deal, but probably just something like, you know what, while we're in here, let's just squeeze everything together.
Yeah. They did make on mobile the attack styles and the special attack bar bigger. So, fill up some of that empty space.
I didn't notice it, but whatever.
Yeah. Next up is the quantity options for deposit boxes.
All right.
So now deposit boxes have the quantity options on mobile, allowing you to deposit specific quantities in a single tap. Kind of weird, but okay. I can't think of any uses off the top of my head, but there are probably hundreds.
Yeah, I don't know.
The quest interface has been modified to include arrows for switching between quests, minigames, achievement diaries, all that stuff, just to make it a little bit easier than the previously small buttons.
Fair enough.
Yep. And then the wise old man.
This is a big one.
Yeah, this has been requested for a while, and we've talked about it a decent amount. But
yeah, when those new devs came onto that Q&A, this was one of the things that one of the new devs wanted to do.
Pretty much the wise old man now is a recycling center. So you can go and talk to him, and you'll be able to remove certain junk items from your bank that are related to quests that you'll never need again. There are like 3 tabs in all, a free and a members tab, so you can kind of go in between them and remove all, or remove the ones you don't want from your bank. You can also just remove some of them, obviously. You're not forced to remove all of them, but this took a lot of work, and they had to do like a lot of stuff to the code to make sure that the right items got flagged. Like imagine you remove all and you're just like missing your cash stack.
Your whole bank's gone.
Yeah. So they have to give you a bunch of bonds to make up for it.
Go back and buy that graceful.
Yeah.
The J mods decide like, okay, we'll get your graceful back for you, and we'll get your void back and your fighter torso. Just don't play for a week.
Yeah. This is pretty cool. They do go in detail about what they did to make this possible, but
we're not going to talk about the coding, are we?
No. They did some stuff. They carried the one, and now we're here.
Cool.
So pretty cool. They increased the zoom distance. Yeah, this allows you to see more.
more blackness.
Yeah.
When are we going to get an increased render distance? That would be sweet.
OpenGL, OS Buddy.
Yeah, that was the one thing I liked about OS Buddy was the OpenGL.
Do you remember when OpenGL first came out and you could click anywhere in the render distance?
Oh, man.
People were like one-clicking ZMI alters and everyone's freaking out about it.
Yeah.
So hopefully that is useful. I know like RuneLight and stuff has the max zoom and distance changed already, so it doesn't really affect most players, but I guess it'll help with some. But anyways, so they have something called the Guide the Future of Old School.
Yeah, this isn't new. We've mentioned it before. It's that survey they've been doing where you can answer a bunch of questions.
Yep.
A lot of them have some very weird questions like, would you play a game that was set in the RuneScape universe that wasn't already old school RuneScape or RuneScape 3? They ask, what other consoles do you play when you're not playing old school RuneScape? And they ask, what things could you, if you could add it, check the ones that you could add into RuneScape. And it was like better graphics, faster tick system, being able to use other devices like a controller or maybe a joystick.
Like a flight stick?
A flight stick. So a lot of questions like that, so...
That'd make gnome gliding pretty fun.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
And he's gonna crash! But anyways, yeah, if you do that, you get signed up for the possibility to win a prize. They are giving away 50 $50 Amazon vouchers, and they're going to be giving away 5 60 by 40 centimeter printed map of Gielinor. And we mentioned before, but it has a cool old style. It's like an old traditional medieval map, sort of.
Yeah.
It's something you would expect from Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, maybe. But it's got a really cool style, and I would probably buy it if it was in their merch store, to be honest. It looks nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess in other news, mobile players that are searching for items in the Grand Exchange can now drag and scroll a list of items in order to aid in usability. That was super annoying on mobile. I hated that, having to you know what I mean? Be really specific.
Yeah, fair enough.
This one's pretty big, but a delay caused by failing to cast a spell, lack of runes or requirement, used to affect your next cast time, and that has been removed. So this would happen to PKers a lot, where they would misclick Ice Barrage or something, right? And they don't have the spells, and then they'd go to cast Ice Barrage, and a couple ticks later, then it would hit, and that would, sometimes lose you a kill.
Set them back like a tick or two?
Yep. Players may now use the incinerator while their search bar is open in the bank interface. That is nice. That used to really annoy me. I was trying to incinerate certain items. And you search for it because you don't know exactly where it is. But they fixed that.
Burning a bowl of onions will no longer give a message about burning eggs.
That's weird, but okay.
It's funny.
I guess they did clarify that. So if you're on a Slayer task for your Fire Cape, for the Fight Caves or your Inferno, they clarify what happens if you die mid-task. They never really did clarify it.
I'd forget every time, and I'd be doing my second run of it. I'd kill Jad and I'd just think, where is all my Slayer experience?
Yeah.
And you realize, oh, right, I committed suicide because I forgot my range potions or whatever.
I think that's pretty much it.
So the fun stuff?
Yeah.
Wow, it's a light week, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess RuneFest, or coming off the high of RuneFest and those allegations.
Yeah. It's update withdrawals.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can add, because we didn't mention it last episode, got caught up in all the controversy. Mod Jed was at, ex-Mod Jed was at RuneFest.
Yeah.
Chilling with the Rot Boys, his clan members.
It's funny how he left Rot, but now he's hanging out with them.
Yeah, they're the only ones who will accept him.
Yeah.
Apparently people have asked him about it, and he would say... Now, this is all hearsay. It's like a fifth-party account. But apparently he denied any... Oh, of course, he denied any involvement with it, but he said he was set up. It was a frame.
Framed?
Well...
The YouTuber?
He was framed. Not... Yeah. Maybe the story's a little bit deeper. We should have been there.
Yeah.
We could have got him into a corner, just pressed him on it. We could have hit him with some hard-hitting questions, and then the next thing you know, Mod Ash is pulling the strings.
Yeah.
He is masterminding everything.
Burn some bowls of onions, and they're like, dude, why are you burning eggs?
It's good. Anyways, I guess we'll be moving on to community chatter. So the first things first, Mod Ronin, or I should say another ex-mod mod, he had left on his own terms, though, to pursue other ventures.
Mm-hmm.
But he still kind of works with Jagex. He does their some of their YouTube videos, like the recaps and all that fun stuff. He made a tweet to someone else saying that when you're skulled in the Rev Caves, you have a better chance at receiving loot.
Yeah.
So this is the first confirmation of it. It's been almost a year since it came out, and we didn't know this.
Yeah, didn't Mod Ash also reconfirm it?
Yep, Mod Ash did say, yeah, it did confirm it. So that's pretty cool. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it opens the doors for clans to just lock down a world and then just be able to get some good PVM loot. But you know what? What can you do, right?
Yeah, it adds for some cool variety. So I started doing Rev Caves this week. Usually I just go there and PK, but I was like, you know what? I kind of just want to like actually PVM there and see what the fuss is all about. And you see people that have like the different strats now. Like you see people that go in with like a whip. They skull up on someone.
Maybe they're bringing that new amulet that skulls you.
Oh, I just saw them whipping people. They go and like punch someone or something. Usually they get attacked back and have to tell you out. But like, yeah, they would skull up and they would just kind of like whip their way around. And they'd kind of like hang out near the 30 line just so they can insta-telly. But it's pretty cool seeing like the different strats that will now develop. Now that people know that, you can skull up and get better chance of loot.
Cool. Fun stuff. So on top of that clarification, they also went into actually how the drop chances work for all the items in the Rev Caves, and depending on the level and whether you're skulled or not. Did you read it?
Yeah, I don't remember it though, but I went over it with like the good table and stuff like that.
Anyways, it's a pretty comprehensive breakdown on how it actually works. We'll post it. You can take a look into it if you're into that math stuff, because there's all these equations. I could go through and try to describe it, but I'm just going to get it wrong, and people will absolutely scream at me for getting it wrong. I'm just kidding. But basically what it's saying is there's a bunch of like quote-unquote unique loot, but within the unique loots you have like a dragon medium helmet. But it's like their own drop table. A regular player will have a 0 and 39. And depending on what number you hit is what you'll get. A skulled player will automatically be 0-13, which means they have a higher chance they have triple the higher chance of getting a good drop. It's a pretty big difference. It's not just a little percentage. It's a big, 3 times the amount of loot you'll be getting.
Yeah. I might bring a BGS or something. Skull up and just see how it goes. See if I notice. Because right now I just use like a blowpipe and stuff like everyone else.
Yeah. So while Jagex had went and did this recent dev blog that we received on Thursday, they also made a little change. I believe this was recent. I haven't been on mobile as much as I'd want to, but so maybe it wasn't beforehand. But I've seen a lot of people complaining, or maybe they were just joking around about complaining, being a little bit meta with it. But anyways, when you're playing on the PC and you're logging into the game, it will say the classic RuneScape with the sword, and then the RuneScape's written out on these like stones or runes. Well, on old school or on the mobile client, they'll have the same thing, but underneath they'll have a ribbon that says old school.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was a joke, people are saying, but some people are unhappy with this change. They want it just to be the classic RuneScape, but I don't have a problem with it. I can see why they're going to add this in, so you're not going to get confused with the other RuneScape. RuneScape 3.
Yep.
Is this a no-issue problem?
No, I think it's just a way to kind of differentiate the clients, you know what I mean? Just to make it like more appealing to someone on mobile and stuff.
Yeah, it's fair. And plus with RuneScape 3 coming out, the mobile client, it's not going to say RuneScape 3, it just says RuneScape.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different look to it. It has it looks like the tail of a dragon. And then next for the community chatter part, we got basically Mod Aiza made a post saying they're currently discussing what can be considered actually real-world trading, and they're probably going to have some write-up about it because there's a common trend on Twitch, probably YouTube too, but mainly no, it's just Twitch, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There's a common problem on Twitch where usually it's a small streamer looking to grow his fan base,
mm-hmm.
and he'll do a big giveaway. But in order to partake in this giveaway, you need to subscribe to his channel. So when you subscribe to his channel, You're either going to be spending money or most people are probably going to be using their Amazon Prime, where you get one free subscription a month. But that person who receives a subscription will be making money off that one sub per month. So it's a way for them to make money and I guess hopefully get some exposure, which would kind of snowball. But you see a lot of people doing it.
Yep.
Mod Aiza and the Jagex team kind of know this is considered real-world trading, right?
Yeah.
You're trading your subscription, which is giving them money for in-game money, or at least a chance at in-game money. So they're going to be coming out with a statement probably saying, yeah, this is real-world trading.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it definitely is some sort of real-world trading. Someone's making money through RuneScape items.
Yeah, they're trading RuneScape items for money.
Yeah.
It's also a really easy way to scam someone out of a subscription.
Yeah.
End up giving it to a friend or something.
I mean, if you pay, and I've done this before, but if you pay actual money for subscription, you can just like, hey, let me join the giveaway. Oh, I didn't win, or the giveaway's over. Let me just go in and go to Twitch, revert my subscription, get my money back, and we're good.
Fair. True enough.
I know a lot of people do that. But yeah, it's kind of just like a cheap way to try and gain viewers and stuff.
It is the easiest way to do it. People want free stuff.
Yeah.
Usually you go watch the stream. At least I've noticed this. I'll go watch the stream, and then my first reaction is I'll see who the person is and their personality, and I'll just think to myself, well, this is why you don't have a big fan base.
Yeah.
You're a toxic person, or
they stake.
It's always stakers, and they're trying to be too much like Ice Poseidon, which was a RuneScape streamer that encouraged trolling and racism and just offensive stuff, right?
I mean,
edgy teenager stuff.
I mean, a subreddit got quarantined.
What do you mean?
So subreddits can get quarantined on Reddit, which means they will never appear on the all or the front page.
Wow.
And you also need like a verified email to access it, and like it just makes it hard to like actually find it as just a casual person.
You need to go out of your way to find it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it gives you an idea where like I don't know, like I could probably look up what else would be quarantined, but probably weird porn and racism.
But yeah, he started off as a RuneScape streamer, kind of encouraged that type of behavior, and it blew him up, basically. He got banned from Twitch, went over to YouTube, basically just started doing real life streaming, and he's got a pretty big viewership.
Yeah.
So a lot of people see Ice Poseidon and they go, I want to be that because he's probably making a ton of money off his streams, albeit he makes a lot of mistakes.
What do you mean?
In my opinion, you're always getting into shaky ground when you start something off with that, but it seems like he got too big too fast, and a lot of the things he does will hurt him in the long run. For instance, he's had multiple apartments in the past, but he keeps getting evicted because he will give out the address and anyone can show up if they want and party with him and stuff, which is just asking for trouble, right?
Yeah.
So things like that. You might not exactly see the consequences right away until you look back on things. Yeah, so Twitch subbing for a giveaway, probably going to be considered real-world trading at some point. Mm-hmm. And the last thing we're going through these so fast. The last thing for community chatter was...
we have one more after this.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Good reminding. Second last, so with warding coming out, they talked about having a new way of imbuing...
Possibly coming out.
True. With warding being proposed, they talked about a different way of imbuing a bunch of the rings. Possibly other items, but this post is because of the rings. So what it's proposing, because right now you have the Berserker, Warrior, Seers, and Archer's Ring.
Ring of the Gods, Treasonous.
You got a bunch more, but this post is just focusing on these four.
Yep.
When you imbue any of the rings, and when you imbue any of the items, all it does is makes the picture a bit brighter.
Yep.
And it adds the eye into the name. Well, this is talking about just those 4 rings from Dagonoths that when you imbue them, it turns into one of the rings from one of the gods. as in Berserker ring would turn into the Bandos ring, Archers into the Armadillo, Seers into a Zamorak ring, and Warriors ring into a Saradomin ring.
Yeah.
So I think it's a pretty cool idea. It makes sense. Now, I do think if you do that for these rings, you might want to consider doing the same for the other rings.
Yeah, for treasonous,
suffering,
treacherous. How are you going to ring of the gods? It's like
elder gods.
Yeah,
there it is.
That's pretty cool.
But then you have an elder god ring. It's got to be pretty good. It's gonna be
a monk's ring. I don't know, because it's all prayer bonus, right?
It's mainly prayer bonus.
Yeah.
It surprised me how much money it's worth.
Oh yeah, dude. But yeah, I do like this idea because like it's nice seeing like I don't want to call it like a progression in an item, but like it's better than just imbued.
Yeah,
like it's weird, especially when like salve elements are like enchanted imbued and stuff like that, where there's just like these letters and like brackets.
Yeah,
and it's just like it's weird,
and then it just gets confusing because we know how consistent RuneScape is. Where you look at the Iban staff. You don't imbue it, you upgrade it.
Yeah, and it's a U, right?
Yeah, it has in brackets U. But then you have Magic Longbow unstrung, the same bracket U.
So it's an unstrung Ivan staff.
Basically, that's what it looks like. So it's weird that one's not imbued. And yeah, as you said with like the Ring of Wealth imbued, it'll be like I4, which just means you have 4 teleports. And it just gets a little
dicey.
Yeah. It's hard to be consistent for them. So this is cool because it now changes the actual item. Yeah, it's cool. I don't know. It's a cool way of getting these new items, right? And if you're going to do it in any way, warding or something like warding would be the best way of changing these rings, right?
Yeah.
Better than just going to Nightmare Zone and boom, now you got this new type of ring.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Deegan, yeah, you showed me some interesting sort of, I guess it's a bug. Is it a bug? It's not really a bug.
A smuggle.
Smuggling.
We call them smuggles.
An exploit.
Yeah. So it was discovered that you were able to bring an extra 17 brews with you wherever you wanted, as long as you did the preparations correctly.
Okay.
Yeah. So the process is, I guess not any potion, but for brews, it mainly works with brews. I'll explain it why, I guess pretty much now, but the process is you trade in the moleskin and claws at the gardener, and because you get nest boxes from him.
Okay.
And that's the secondary ingredient for a brew. In your herb sack, you have toad flax. Right? And so you can fill up, I don't know, I think it's like 17 in the nest and 30 in the herb sack. It's kind of dicey because, you get different nest boxes and stuff. Am I saying that? Am I changing the nest thing?
No, nest.
Nest box? I don't know. Anyway, so...
But wouldn't the nest, when you open up the box, you would get a nest with bird seeds in it? Or not bird seeds, but tree seeds or other seeds?
There are nest box, on the topic of imbues and stuff, bracket seeds, nest box, brackets ring, and then nest box, brackets empty.
That's right. They automatically split them up for you.
So the process is you can either, like, it was mainly used, or I guess it was mainly showcased at the Inferno as a way to bring 17 extra brews. So, and you need ancients for Inferno. So you get 99 magics for the spellbook swap of the magic cape.
Right, because you need a spellbook swap to lunars in order to...
humidify vials.
Right, so you would be drinking your Sarah brews.
Not smashing it.
And then refilling it with the spell to put water in it. You'd bring a pestle and mortar to crush the bird's nest.
Yep.
And then you'd put the herb... Wow, that's smart.
Yeah, so you dedicate a lot of inventory because you use like lava runes and stuff like that. But yeah, ChemQ has a video on how he does it and how he uses it. It's pretty smart because you go through your supplies at some point, right? Mm-hmm. You have empty vials, and you're like, all right, well, now I'm going to swap, do this, boom, 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 boom. Now I'm a bunch of extra brews, and it ends up being like the reason why he completes the Inferno. Like after all of it, he had like 1 or 2 brews left after using this.
They're letting him keep the Inferno cape, though, right?
So as of right now, it hasn't been confirmed or denied. Because I can see them taking it away from him, but I can also see them letting him keep it because he's a streamer or a YouTuber.
Not just that, that's really smart. That's a smart idea to and when it comes to smuggling in more items.
Mm-hmm.
He's not bugging anything out. He's just thinking outside of the box.
Well, yeah, the nest box, you might say.
Thinking out and in.
Very quickly, though, after this video was released, Jagex changed so you can only open nest box at the bank with your Grand Exchange.
Really?
Yeah, so you can't do it anymore, which means, I mean, I guess if you have, what, is it 81 or 90 herb lore you need for 81, yeah. So I guess, like, 81 herb lore, maybe some people have that and they don't have their fire cape yet. They could have maybe done that, but yeah, I don't know. They ended up changing it. There's a lot of outrage, and there's a lot of like, well, now let's just change prayer, how prayer drains, because you can pretty much have infinite prayer if you pray flick.
Right.
Well, you will have infinite prayer if you can do it properly. They said it was kind of silly because, like, yeah, they kind of balance content, like the Inferno. If you can pray flick and stuff, it makes it way easier.
Yeah,
it's kind of intended that you should be pray flicking for that. And so some people are kind of pissed because they have some things like tick manipulating, prey flicking, like all that stuff in the game that they just, all right, that's fine. And then when people find out neat little like smuggling concepts like this, they like immediately patch it. So do you feel like this is something that they should be patching out?
I think it's a really cool idea. And when you told me about that, I was like, oh, that is awesome. I love hearing stuff about that because you're not bugging anything out. You're just, being very smart about something, right? There's a lot of game knowledge that is required in order to figure that out.
Yeah.
It's really cool at first, but once it becomes mainstream knowledge, it becomes a mechanic in the game. Like prey flicking, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't want it to be a mechanic where, like you can now double your inventory, kind of, by bringing this stuff in. Like, it's cool. I don't think anyone should take it away.
So my main thing is, though...
I don't know. Because it's hard to do, right? You need 99 magic.
Well, for the Inferno specifically, but for, Jad, if you're getting your fire cape, you don't need it.
But you need... Oh, yeah, true.
Just humidify spell.
Just on lunars.
But my main thing is, what would you use it for besides maybe the fire cape? But that's so overkill if you need to do that for the fire cape.
You could start using it to extend trips at certain places.
But you don't have restores. You're just brewing down.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of you're using 5 or 6 inventories to do it. Realistically, you only kind of use it for the Inferno. And they could have just made it so you can't bring in herb sacks and nest boxes to the Inferno.
Yeah,
I felt like they just they went really overkill with it.
Because it is hard to do because you have to grind the bird's nest. You got to open up the box, grind the bird's nest, take out your herb, clean it, use the spell. You know what I mean? There's a lot you're doing, and things like the Inferno and even just the fire cave. You don't always have the most downtime. Obviously, fire cave, you can go hide.
Well, with the Inferno, you can safe spot on the pillars on certain waves, and beforehand, before the Jaw waves and stuff, you can kind of prep everything.
I think it's cool, but I don't want to go and watch a YouTube video. How do you do the Inferno? And they're this is what you want to do.
The requirement is 81 herb lore, and you're like, really?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, once it becomes mainstream knowledge, it kind of changes things, kind of like how prey flicking did. The only difference is they weren't willing to change it. They just incorporated it. No, I'm not saying they would incorporate this. Yeah. They have a boss that requires you to go through 2 inventories of brews.
Well, I just find that it's kind of weird that they could have just made it for instanced area. You know what I mean? Why did they go so hard and now you can only open them at banks and GEs?
Probably just because it was the easiest thing to do and they don't have to ever worry about this again. They don't have to make a new boss and then be thinking, have a note on a sticky tab saying, keep this in mind. Will they be able to do this in here? Will it make it that much easier? By doing this, they don't ever have to worry about that problem, right?
I guess. But yeah, a lot of people are pretty upset. I mean, yeah, I can see how it kind of devalues Inferno capes if this was a commonly used strat. So
so that's the thing. You hear when it first happens, I don't think it devalues anything because you're saying, man, that guy's smart. Mm-hmm. But then if I'm going into the Inferno cave and I'm doing this, it's different because I watched someone else figure it out.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, because there's always hidden strats. Like there's like that one guy posted a video like a couple months ago being like, hey, I just got 200 mil experience, so let me actually show you the best melee experience in the game. And that was the Dragon Bone Necklace, Bone Crusher, Holy Wrench, all that stuff at the Monkey Caves. You wear full prayer, you get prayer experience, like 130k melee, and you just like AFK hard.
With what? Darox?
No, just like, what was he using? He was using Crystal Halberd for spec, and I think just like a whip or something for attack. He's like, yeah, here's this hidden method that it's way more AFK than NMZ. It costs nothing. You know what I mean? Like infinite prayer pretty much. You just like AFK for 10 minutes at a time, reset super fast, and you go to a spot that like no one would ever go to. So like you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I wonder how many people were doing Inferno capes and they use this method. Like if it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Jagex would never have known about it if it wasn't for a video.
Yeah.
Probably pissed.
Yeah.
But that's how these things come to light. Look at Cerberus, right? It was going on for a long time, and then a streamer started doing it, and that's when the whole catastrophe happened. If you don't know, there's a boss Cerberus. He drops 3 boots that are like the best in slot for range, mage, and melee.
Well, the crystals that you attach.
Yeah, the crystals for it. And we talked about this when it first happened. But he has a phase where these 3 ghosts come out, and they will either hit you for 30 damage or drain you for 30 prayer, unless you have the arcane. Is that it? Or spectral? Spectral shield, which would allow you to you would just drain 15. So that part of the fight is pretty big. It drains a lot of your resources. But people found out that, hey, you could click on a boat and it would like freeze them, right? They wouldn't attack you.
I thought that, like, I'm not too sure, because it happened a while ago, but I thought you could attack Cerberus and then click on the boat, because there was a random boat, like a paddle boat, in the background that for some reason had a left click board option.
Yeah.
And you could attack Cerberus and then click it right afterwards, and Cerberus wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, so
you could just sit there and like kill him, spawn, do it again. You know what I mean? That's what I thought it was, where like you're pretty much like immune to all damage, and then I think Foe was like, someone told Foe, and he was doing it on stream, and he told a friend of his, not the YouTuber. And then that guy got his account de-ironed because he was a hardcore Iron Man.
Ooh, that's right.
And so was Foe's account, but Foe's like, well, do it to mine then, and they never really did.
Yeah.
We kind of just forgot about it. Same with the agility pet, the squirrel that got lost in the maze that one time.
Oh, there's a bunch of cases like that. But yeah, they fixed it, and they put out a graph saying once this bug came to light, how many more kills were being done a day, and it jumped up like 100 times. So pretty crazy to see. And looks like we got through all the fun stuff to talk about, all the news.
Yeah, it really wasn't much to talk about this week.
No, able to run through it fast, but I guess that's okay because, you know, we've been playing catch up with podcasts, right?
Yeah.
We had to do a juicy 2-parter, followed by this one's going to be a little bit shorter.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully next week we have some bigger pieces of content to talk about. I feel like they're kind of just getting ready for these polls. It's like quiet calm before the storm in the program for the programmers,
yeah.
For the devs. Like, is it passing? And nothing passed. Fuck. Okay.
We got no updates for like a month. This was it. It is kind of crazy to see that as soon as they announced it, they basically came out with the polls for it.
Yeah.
So if it all passes, are we going to get it next month?
There are some things that they want to release before the end of this year.
They could do it in sections.
Well, like, for some of the stuff they released in RuneFest, if it passes, some of it they can release, like, in a couple months.
Well, they might have people working on it already. Well,
yeah.
They definitely do. They're not just gonna... All right, let's make the ferocious gloves, and... Oh, we can't because of the coding. Some stupid thing like the hit splats they wanted to do before, and they just couldn't do it.
We understand wording passed with 98%, but we found out it's actually impossible.
Yeah. You know what? That's one thing that I could actually see happening, and wouldn't be 100% surprised.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move it on. I wasn't planning on doing lore this week since we're playing catch up with the podcast. So we're going to skip over this week just so I can get this one out as fast as possible to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, quick stroll to the Grand Exchange. First things first, we're going to talk about Audible. If you want to try a free month and get a free audio book, go to audibletrial.com/wild, and you can get all that fun stuff, a bunch of audiobooks in it. I haven't had too much time to actually go through my audiobook, but I got 30 hours there, and I have a free credit for another one. Yeah, and the thing is, you could, if you unsubscribe from it, you don't lose any of your audiobooks. So I'm not entirely worried. Can I go through it at my own pace?
Yeah.
So audibletrial.com/wild. And now over to Patreon. If you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/thewildernesspodcast. Our Patreon supporter of the week is Dean Russin, or also known as Strosity. So thank you very much for pledging to us. We greatly appreciate it. You are a gentleman and a scaper.
Nice.
But also jumping on board with us this week is Yeno. So welcome to the Wild Boys and the Wild Gals Club. But really, I guess every single person is a wild boy and wild gal.
Except for the Patreon subscribers.
Except for them. Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you to everyone for supporting the show. Mm-hmm. Can't tell you how much we do appreciate it. It was really crazy to see. Anyways, I'm not going to go and just keep blabbling on about that, because you're going to have to hear it every single week for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much. And thank you to everyone who just supports the show in-game or in general. You guys are all lovely people. So we had a question sent in, and this was sent in from MDM, and he kind of wanted us to talk about some of the bosses, but the three of them specifically were King Black Dragon, Zulrah, and Barrows. So I'm assuming this is a newer player, lower level, might not be able to tackle these right now, but as someone who's interested in it and wanted to give our opinions on it and maybe what we did when we were fighting it.
Yeah, so when you do King Black Dragon, you want full bandos.
Full bandos.
Yeah, no.
And a set of Justiciar.
Yeah, yeah.
Or Justiciar.
Your T-bow.
Your T-bow.
That's vital. That's crucial. Actually, though, I guess we'll start off with KBD.
We do KBD or Barrows, because those two are both kind of the entry-level bossing. Barrows is more considered a mini-game.
Yep.
Sort of. But King Black Dragon itself, it's like one of the first bosses you're going to be able to kill.
Yeah, it's like the first boss ever in the game.
Yeah.
KBD typically is killed with range, but you can use like a hast to use a stab weapon, but generally you'll be using like a crossbow. He's pretty easy. Well, you just need like anti-shield,
anti-fire, yeah.
Anti-fire, just crossbow him.
You need a poison or anti-poison potion.
Oh, yeah. And the best part is you got to fight over this boss with like 8 different people, because this boss is always super crowded and it's awful.
Yeah, and it's not good money, but it seems like a lot of people are there for the pet. Like, it's not bad money. It's money. It's not good or bad. If you have a looting bag, you are able to loot the hides and the dragon bones by stepping out of the lair to this one section of it.
Yeah, so
it puts you in the wilderness, so you can use your looting bag.
To get to KBD, you have to travel through the wilderness. You use the burning amulet, go to Lava Mage, like 5 steps away from him.
It is a bit sketchy, though, because the burning amulet will bring you to where the Rev Cave goers are going to be teleporting.
Yeah.
What I would use is a Gorok teletab, which brings you pretty close to where it is. It is near one of the obelisks. Again, it is sketchy because there are players that sometimes camp on a hill right outside of King Black Dragon, the King Black Dragon lair. So you do got to be careful. But I've never been PK'd by someone, and there are times where I'd bring like full Torags and stuff, and I'd run all the way from Edgeville.
True.
It was stupid to do that, but I felt like I'd rather run than teleport because I was just scared.
Yeah, I've been jumped with some heavy loot. I think I mentioned it once before. I had to do jump on me. I had like proselytes. I had my Hasta. My Slayer Helmet was on task. My Torture, my Pegage, or my Prims, and my DFS. So I was kind of risking loot. And, well, potentially, but he splashed every single barrage, and I just walked in.
Yeah, just continue on with your day.
But mainly, so you'll kill him. He's pretty easy. He can, like, freeze you, all that good stuff.
Drains your stats a bit.
Yeah.
Poisons you.
But after like killing him, he respawns in 10 seconds. But what you can do is quickly drop like a couple food or whatever, make some space, pick up stuff, go pull the lever, so you jump out into the wilderness, but there's like red spiders, so you're kind of safe. It's not
it brings you. It doesn't bring you right onto like the main wilderness area. You're still in the dungeon.
Yeah.
But it's like this little small area that's still in the wilderness.
Fill up the looting bag, jump back in, get your inventory all sorted, fight him again, fight over him with like 8 different people because it's really annoying. Jeez.
You do have the option of paying like, what is it, 50K and getting your own area. It's instant, so no one else will be there. But if you die, you will lose the items that drop on the ground. You can't just run back and pick them up.
Yep.
Because it's instance.
Yeah.
Because of that alone, I don't use any of the instances areas.
Yeah. For bolts, because you're going to be using a crossbow, you can use the ruby bolt enchanted and then the diamonds as well. And once you get them down to half health, you go from your ruby bolts to your diamond, just because the way the specs work, ruby bolts are based on the percentage of the monster's current HP.
Yep, so you can get lucky and hit really hard, even at a low level.
Yeah. And then you just swap diamonds because they can pierce defense with their special.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff. And
most people who are going there at a lower level are going to be using range because it's the best way of doing it.
Yeah.
But when you're at a higher level, it kind of, unless you have the Dragon Hunter crossbow, of course, but using melee and full proselyte, your Hasta, because it's one-handed, and it has the highest stab, which is what dragons are weak against. And then this way you can pray melee, which means you're in melee distance. He's sometimes going to, instead of shooting you with a magic or a fire breath, he will melee you, and you just prevent yourself from getting hit.
Yeah. I mean, when I range him, I do stand in melee range, and I protect melee.
Oh.
I'll do that because, like, he'll melee you for zeros, but he'll pretty much like always hurt you with magic if you have an anti-fire shield and you're drinking the potions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really killed KBD in a long time, though, I'm going to be honest. But
I only kill it when I get a task to kill black dragons or something.
Even then, I do brutal black dragons.
Yeah, actually, I sometimes do that too because brutal black dragons are worth a lot more money. But I like KBD because the pet is pretty nice. I like pet hunting, and that's what makes KBD still popular, I believe. That, and it's just fun to do because it might not be ideal to go in with like 65 range, but I know if you're with a group of like 3 or 4 people and you're all on that level and you find your empty world, you can kill the boss together. I've seen people doing it in the past. It is recommended, on the wiki here, it's recommended to have 80 plus range, but if you have your ruby bolts, you can get lucky and still hit them, but you don't want to do it alone. You don't want to just walk in there with 61 on your own, because you will have problems. But in a group, the hits are divvied up. But it is a fun boss to do. It does have some decent loot. It's just, compared to other bosses, you're not going to get much. Most of your money is going to be coming from the black hides and the dragon bones. But, you have the chance. It's 1 in 5,000 to get a Draconic Visage.
Well, you like the U logs and stuff, like some of the resource drops you get do add up.
They do add up. You'll get like 150 U logs, which is 41K, 100 noted gold ore, 34K. It's not much, but yeah, as you said, it all adds up at the end. Oh, and of course, the dragon pickaxe can drop from him. 1 in 1.5K drop rate, but it's worth 4.7 mil as of right now. Yeah, it's a pretty basic boss, really not much to it. A good entry-level boss. Another boss I've thrown, there's maybe Mole Mom, or Giant Mole. I always call it Mole Mom because of Mush Mom from Maple Story. That's another basic one, but the loot is significantly worse.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do that, you should wait for Fowler Hard's done.
Yeah, it'll give you a locator.
Yeah.
But another entry-level, of the 3 that he had mentioned, the other entry-level PVMing content, I'd say is Barrows. You can do it at a low level, although at a higher level, obviously there's perks to make it a lot faster.
Yeah.
But you see a bunch of low levels going there because you can get lucky, and you could get, there's a number of items that are worth, there's some items that are worth nothing. Aram's Hood, Carol's Coif, those 2 are worth under 100k. Aram's Hood's 50k, the Coif is 75k. But there are some items like the Aram's Robe Top, 2.5 mil. The Robe Skirt, 1.8 mil. Almost every Guthan's piece is about 1 mil. On top of that, you will be getting an assortment of runes, whether it's Mind, Chaos, Death, or Blood. You have a chance of getting Bolt Racks and some money, and then there's also an Elite Clue Scroll that you can get from it. And the cool thing about Barrows is to get a unique item, it's not exactly super rare. So to get one specific item, it's 1 in 418. But for the drop chance to get any Barrows item, it works out to be 1 in 33. But the way it works is when you kill one of the Barrows brothers, their loot gets added to the loot table. When you kill each of the Barrows brothers, it'll increase your chance overall to receive any item. So when you kill all 6, that's when you're hitting the 1 in 33 drop table. But, I don't know, Deegan, let's say it's your first time going to Barrows, you're a lower level. What do you think you would bring? Because I know the strategy I did back in 2007 is a lot different than what people are doing now.
Equipment, like, specifically, the, like, lowest, like, because the main thing with Barrows is that you're generally using magic, you use a little bit of range, and you can use some melee when you want to get kill count to increase, your runes and coin rewards as well.
Yeah, because most of them have such a low magic defense.
Yeah, so because there's Darok, there's Torag, Varak, Guthan that you use that are like weak to magic specifically.
Some people use magic on Carols as well.
Yeah, you can.
I personally use melee, but I see a lot of people using magic on them.
The main focus is magic, so you'll need like a minimum of 50 magic and 50 attack before you start doing Barrows. I mean, you could just like fire wave it or some stuff, you know what I mean? But you would have Iban Staff. That'd be like your main weapon. And that's because it can hit a 25. You only need 50 attack and magic to use it. Pretty decent for like a low level. You have to have Underground Pass completed though. So you will need to do a quest for that.
And it's not a fun one either.
Yeah. Alternatively, you can use the Slayer Staff. You do need 50 Slayer, though.
Yep.
And you use Slayer Dart.
That's what I used to use back in the day.
Yeah.
But you'll see nobody using it there. Everyone's using the Iban Staff.
And then ideally, you would want to use the Trident of the Swamp, or Trident of the Seas if you can't get the Swamp, but which you need 75 magic for. And that just kind of helps you rip through it. And because you're using those kinds of staffs, your magic bonus isn't the most important.
Mm-hmm.
So prayer bonus will generally be your focus. And yeah, so I guess from worst to best would be Ivan Staff, Slayer Staff, Trying to the Seas, Trying to the Swamps.
Well, Slayer Staff would probably be worse than Ivan's.
Yeah, I guess depending if you're on task or not. But yeah, assuming you're not, I guess the Slayer Staff would be worse. But anyways, so other than, I guess, the magic, you just range.
Yeah, you would range
Arams crossbow or a magic shortbow for Arams. You do ACB, Armadillo crossbow, or like a dragon crossbow. Ideally, though, you want to have a blowpipe, which is 75 range.
Yeah, you're a lower level, get 61 range, bring a rune crossbow.
So if you have Haunted Mind done and you unlock the Salve Amulet, and let's say you do the Tarn's Lair mini quest, which allows you to enchant it, and then you also imbue it, you get the EI Amulet, you can it's good to bring a melee weapon and equip that and kill the skeletons while you're getting kill count. It does speed things up. Let's say you have a glory or something that you're typically using. I know it's pretty handy to do that. But for general methods, I'll try my best to explain it. You can kite the melee brothers, like all the barrel brothers that use melee with magic. So if you get used to it, you don't even have to use prayer.
Always use prayer for Darox, though.
Yeah,
so he can smack you super hard.
So I guess a lot of Iron Men try and abuse this as best as possible, but pretty much you have walk on, and you'll attack the barrel brother and then hold control and left click around the coffin. Around one of the corners, and that will make your guy run temporarily to that spot. And you can just kind of kite him around the coffin if you have done it properly, and it saves a lot of prayer points. Because I guess at a low level, the biggest issues with Barrows isn't actually doing it. It's the time in between and the supplies you have to use to actually kill Barrows. You know what I mean? So that's why prayer bonus is really important. especially if like if you just bring like D'hide or something, God D'hide, and you know your mage weapon that like doesn't actually really use runes. Well, Ivan's Blast does, but you know what I mean. I guess they do, but you know what I mean. They're, like the staffs that you use are different. Your mage state, I don't know how to explain it. Is like it's different. It's not like a typical battle staff or a mystic staff.
So yeah, you can bring prayer bonus because there is a prayer mechanic to it that you'll see a face appear. It's like a ghostly face on your screen, and your prayer will drop by a significant chunk. So you always want to, you don't want to just stay at like 10 prayer points when you're doing it. You want to be above that because if that happens, you will drop your prayer. But what I do, and I see a lot of people doing it as well, is they'll bring some defensive gear, Torags, even Granite, and they'll fight Darox first, use their prayer on that. But for the brothers like Verax, Torags, and Guthans, they'll just tank it with some food. You can save on prayer potions because they can be expensive. And Torags and Guthans, they don't really hit too hard.
Yeah, they're pretty easy.
Yeah, so they're pretty easy. Yeah, you just kind of blast them down. If you want to be as efficient as possible, too, you're going to be buying Barrow's tablets to just teleport straight there instead of running, because running will take you a lot of time.
Yeah.
But you can buy them from the GE and use them. So if you've never been there, eventually you'll get to a coffin that is empty, and there's no Barrow Brother in it when you open it. Skip that one, kill the rest of them, but come back to that coffin, and that's how you get into the crypts.
Yeah.
And some of the there's a bunch of doors. It's kind of like a maze, but there's 9 rooms in a 3x3 square. Some of the doors won't open, but if you're on Runelight, it will highlight which ones are able to be opened. You just follow it, and then you'll find one door that leads into the middle room. When you get to that door that will bring you right into the middle room, you're going to have to answer a puzzle. The answers to these puzzles are the same every time, but there's like 4 puzzles that you'll have. So you'll have to memorize what is the answer, and then you just clear it as fast as possible, because unfortunately, you'll probably be getting attacked by some rat or a skeleton, and you got to be quick, because once that puzzle pops up, if you get hit, that puzzle will close. Now, if you haven't encountered the Barrow's Brother yet, when you get to the final chest that you're going to get your loot, when you open it, that Barrow Brother will appear. So the main one you want to be careful of is Darox, because he can hit you really hard.
Yeah.
They all have their set effect, so Guthans is able to heal off you, but that also means Darox, that when he's lower on health, he can smack you pretty hard. But yeah, you open it up, you get your loot, and when you get to a higher level, you're probably gonna, like, if let's say you're max level, you're gonna be bringing full Graceful, Trident of the Swamps, Blowpipe, and you'll be ripping. I personally just kill all of the brothers because I just care about the loot. But you can kill a certain amount of skeletons to maximize your rune output, especially if you have your Mauritania Hards done. You'll get more runes from it. And that's where a lot of the money does come from. But I know when I'm doing barrows, I'm there for those uniques. I'm there for the quick payouts. So I kill the 6, teleport out, and I keep going back. But yeah, when you're a higher level, you bring your house tabs, you're in the Arceus spellbook, you teleport to your house after every trip, use your pool to heal up, you go on the Arceus spellbook, and teleport right back. And it makes it super fast. Yeah. And it's also a great way to get elite clue scrolls too. Yeah. It's like one of the better ways, right?
Yeah. I haven't tested this or done it, but people do bring black salamanders.
Oh, I have seen that, because that allows you to do range, mage, and melee depending on what attack style you're using.
Yeah, and it's ammunition, which is Hairlander tar.
Super cheap.
Yeah, I don't even know how much, but it's pretty cheap.
Pretty damn
and
cheap.
Then you can just wear like tanky gear.
Yeah.
High prayer bonus, Verax or something. You know, you're set. Barrow, it's pretty easy. It is a little weird, I guess, doing your first couple tries, just kind of like figuring it out, and like if you're not using a third-party client, knowing which tunnel's which, because you'll kind of just like dig down into one of the tunnels, into the crypts.
Yeah.
Or into when you open up the coffin, you'll like kind of get surprised the first couple times on who you're fighting.
Yeah, your first run, you want to bring like 5 or 6 prayer potions and a bunch of food, just while you're figuring it out. And as you do get more comfortable with it, you'll start realizing, I don't really need that much prayer potions. I don't really need that much food.
Yep.
But the order that I always go in is, because I don't really drink too much prayer potions. I tank a lot of the stuff, and my prayer kind of stays up for the whole run for the most part. I go to Darox first, because I always pray against him. Carol also hits pretty hard, so I try to pray against that. And if I have prayer left, Verax. even though he can hit through it with a special, but he can smack you pretty hard too.
Mm-hmm.
Arums, if you bring some Dehyde, not going to hit too hard. Guthans and Torags, they're not going to hit you for shit, especially in defensive gear. Yeah, it is pretty fun. I enjoy doing it. I know that people in the CC are often like, let's have a party event there. Let's get, 5 people are going to go there and see who gets the best loot after 5 of them. So if it's something you want to try, just ask if anyone wants to do barrows. I know that I'm doing whatever I can to not kill Vorkath right now. So if you're wanting to do some PVM stuff, let me know and I'll do whatever I can to avoid that stupid Slayer task.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, we're going to move on to Zulrah, the last one, which is the opposite of KBD. It's a great moneymaker.
Great moneymaker, and
it's tough.
Yeah.
You might be super good at raids, still might struggle a few times with Zulrah.
I would say Zulrah is the first boss that you'll encounter that's an actual like PVM wall.
Yeah.
Typically, like Kelphi Queen, Barrows, KBD, they're all pretty basic. The thing with like Kelphi Queen is that she hits hard, but like
there's no mechanics involved.
There's like no mechanics. Barrows, there's very minor mechanics. The biggest thing is like how little supplies can I use and how fast can I like go to and from.
Yep.
Those are the biggest challenges. And then yeah, same with like the giant mole. Like it's everything's super basic, and then you get to Zulrah, and that boss is a lot more complicated, and there's a lot of diversity in items you can bring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, things that'll make it easier. There's things that you can do more damage with, but then there's items you can bring that just make it easier for you to manage.
Yeah,
but
so
we'll get into that. Let's go through the actual fight.
Anyways, yeah, so Zulrah has 4 rotations that the boss will randomly choose from and start, so it makes learning the boss itself kind of annoying because you have to like quote unquote memorize or like recognize 4 different patterns. 2 of them are like decently similar, but
rotation is basically he'll hit one of the 4 and then he's going to be doing these certain steps throughout the whole fight.
Yeah, so he'll submerge into the water and he'll come out and he'll attack you, and when he does that, he'll also change what attack styles he's using, which also means you'll have to switch what you're using. So you're going to be using mage and range typically.
So Zulrah has 4 different forms.
Yeah.
He will be green, which means he'll be shooting ranged attacks at you. You want to be praying ranged and attacking with magic. He has a blue form where he's going to be doing mage attacks, but he also throws in some random ranged attacks.
Yep.
But you want to be praying mage against it, and you want to be ranging him. And he also has a red phase, which is he's going to be using melee. And you're going to want to mage that, but on top of that, you want to be moving like 2 or 3 steps out of the way after you shoot a shot, because he will attack you with his tail, and if he hits you, he's going to stun you. So you can't attack, and we'll get into it, but if you're in a poison cloud, you're going to take a lot of damage. Mm-hmm. And then he also has one more phase, which people call it the Jad phase.
Yep.
He's going to be green, and the only way you kind of know he's doing this is because you start getting comfortable with the pattern, and you know he's going to be this form at this certain part. But he's going to be alternating between magic and ranged every shot. It's going to go back and forth. But what makes it confusing is when the projectile is mid-air, you want to be switching to the other one. So if he's shooting ranged, while that ranged is mid-air and it hasn't hit you yet, you want to switch your prayer to mage. It's kind of weird, but it is what it is.
It's a little tricky. You pretty much want to have the prayer up before he starts the animation of his next attack.
Yep.
Because like the travel time for the projectile is pretty slow. But yeah, he's got like a lot of different mechanics. So he has one thing where he summons snakelings, and they have low health, but they hit really hard. So that means you're going to want to have like some sort of recoil. So rings of recoil, or like a ring of stone or suffering. Sorry, ideally,
if you can afford the ring of suffering, bring that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, bring 2 recoils.
He also has another mechanic that Dill's kind of mentioned, which is the poison clouds, where when you stand in them, you take damage, but then you also get venomed.
So you're going to want to bring an anti-venom.
Or a serpentine helm. Yeah. If you're lazy like me, you don't want to have to drink anti-venoms. When
he does do the poison clouds, there will always be a spot that you need to stand. And this is where knowing the rotations or being comfortable with them is important, because depending on what rotation he is in out of the 4, it's where the poison clouds are going to be. He's going to shoot them.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to know where you want to stand. Otherwise, you'll have to run through the poison clouds, and you can take a bit of damage, quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that I guess the most difficult part of Zulrah is understanding like the flow of it, I guess. So before we get into like what gear you should bring, the main difficulties is like 1, memorizing or recognizing where you are in a rotation.
A lot of people try to memorize the rotations, but I find it easier for me to just, like you said, recognize the pattern. So I don't know exactly where I need to stand, but I know the general area I need to stand. So I might take a tick of damage, but I can easily just move a couple tiles over and I'm out of the poison clouds. But I'm in the area he's going to be spawning next. Because you start recognizing the patterns. You know, if he's on the left side, he's either going to be moving into the middle, or he's going to be moving onto the right side. If he does move to the middle, you know he's going to go to the right side next. He kind of goes back and forth, right?
Yeah, well, there are like a lot of like variables. What I did to like learn, I mean, you can use like, there is a client that like, I don't know, people have been banned for using, so I don't really want to recommend it.
Yeah, it's probably not recommend that.
Yeah, that does like kind of help you learn Zulrah. But what I did was I played on like I didn't full screen RuneScape, but I went on Photoshop and I copied an image from the wiki, which showed all the rotations down in a straight line. And then what I did was I made different layers for each rotation, and I had it set up so I could, like, right next to my RuneScape, there was the image of the rotation, and then I would pay attention to that, and by the, or I guess 4th transition, I guess, I don't know, there's two of the 4 rotations are the same for the first 3, so you can kind of figure out which one you have to guess, but as soon as you know which rotation you're on, you can I'd click a button, and it would change what my actual Photoshop, like, image was, and it would just show what the actual rotation is, and then that helped me a lot to kind of keep in track, like, what he's gonna be like submerge or re-emerging as, and then where he'll be and where I'll have to be as well. And so the big thing with Zulrah is knowing what range or mage you're using, and then getting there in time, and knowing when to eat, I guess, because if you're eating while he's attacking you, like, you're kind of hurting yourself. It's going to drag out, and if it goes too long, then those snakelings chip away at you, and your prayer goes out, and it's not fun for anyone.
No, you want to be eating in between his when he's spawning into his next form, and as you're kind of moving to the next spot where the venom is going to be.
But other than that, so that is really frustrating. That will take, like, it took me like 50 kills, so way more than 50 attempts to, like, start understanding where the rotations are. And then after like 150 kills of, like, grinding it out hard, I was, like, pretty comfortable with my muscle memory, because that's all that it comes down to, is if you do enough Zulrah, you just, like, instinctively, okay, I'm going to move here, swap to this gear, put this overhead up, get my prayers correct, and we're good. But it's very frustrating for new players to try and learn Zulrah. Yeah,
it took me 10 tries before I got my first kill, basically.
Yeah. I had, like, a couple kills just because, you know, need it for the elite or the hard diaries and stuff. But I never really focused or did that much Zulrah until I actually had, like, max gear. Until I had, like, full Ancestral and Arma. Just because, like, it's such a pain to learn that, like, me personally, I waited until, like, overkill time. But I know most people want to, like, make that money ASAP.
Yeah. So for gear-wise and stat-wise, absolute minimum 75, because you need your Trident of the Swamps and you need Blowpipe, but I'd even say get at least 80 in both of them. 80 is when I started trying it, and originally I was using, like, full-on switches, so I have full Arums, and then I had full Carols that I was switching, not full, but the top and bottoms that I was switching between, as well as the weapon, but I found it was, eventually I wasn't able to kill it, so eventually I went and grinded out my full Void, and I used full Void, and all you had to switch was your weapon and your helmet.
Yeah.
And that made it so much easier to actually learn the fight, because you had less to worry about with your item management. So I always recommend that if you're learning the fight, do it in full Void, because you're not going to do as much damage, but you still do damage, and it's just so much easier to learn the actual fight. And then once you get comfortable with the fight, then you can switch out the Void for Arums and Carols.
Yeah, keep in mind, though, like, you take mad damage if you're in Void, because Void's got, like, pretty much non-existent defensive stats. But the big thing is, like, keeping track of your switches, being in the right spot. Like, people have done it, like, I've seen people do it in gilded, cooking aprons with a magic bow and ibans. Like, that's it, you know, so you really don't need gear to do it. It's just, you have to really know the patterns and be comfortable with your switches.
And the longer the fight drags on, the less actual food and resources you will have, which is usually what's going to kill you, or if he's going to smack you hard. Because you got to remember, every time he changes his form, he spawns into a new spot, you have to change your gear, you got to change your prayer, you got to move, and you got to heal up if you can.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot, but as you get more comfortable, it's really not.
And there are little things that you do learn. In his mage phase, he'll do 5 attacks, then go underwater. So that does help a lot if you want to sit there and count. I believe it's 5, or maybe it's 5. You can hit him 5 times with a blowpipe. It's been a while since I've killed Zulrah, but there are like a lot of neat little tricks you can kind of learn to help make the fight a bit more smooth. Yeah, having things like if you have Vengeance, that does help, because when when he's on the mage phase, he can throw a random range at you and you can venge that back. All that good stuff.
That start getting to expert level strats, because you gotta time it properly, otherwise you're just gonna be hitting a snakeling with your Vengeance.
Yeah, there's like a lot of really cool tricks. I find like if you have the gear, like you can do it in like Mystics and D'hide if you really want. Like if you're just excited to go do it, I would say, do it up. Don't get discouraged, because there's no like penalty for dying at Zulrah like there is at Vorkath.
No, it's just time.
And you spend time, maybe you lose some supplies, but like learning Zulrah, especially like the lower level, would be like pretty nice. So you can start making that bank ASAP.
Yeah, because the good thing about Zulrah is that it's still one of the best moneymakers in the game.
Yeah.
Sure, we have Vorkath, but Zulrah still has a lot of good drops, a lot of resources worth at least 100k. The scales are always going to be worth money.
Yeah.
And he drops scales, and I believe it's 2 drops.
Yep.
So you can get crap like 1,000 flax, which is 3k. But
you can get magic seeds.
Yeah, you could get a magic seed. You could get 10 battle staffs, 80k. It's not bad. And that's for 1 kill.
Mm-hmm.
But it also is such great money because of the uniques off the drops, or the uniques on his drop table. Tanzanite Fang, which makes the blowpipe. Magic Fang, which makes the Trine of the Swamps and the Toxic Staff of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Serpentine Visage, which makes your Serp Helmet. All of those are worth 5 mil. And he can also drop an Uncut Onyx for 3 mil.
The only unique I've ever gotten from him, fun fact.
Still not bad. So each of those drops are 1 in 512, but to receive any of those drops, it's a 1 in 28.
Yeah.
1 in 128.
Yeah.
So definitely recommend going out there, dying a handful of times, but to actually learn the fight, because it will pay off in the end. Mm-hmm. And it's a fun boss to do.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
And it's a tough one. So once you learn it, it'll help you with PKing, it'll help you with like raiding, because it teaches you having to swap between your gears and your prayers and having to move.
It helps you with Jad, because Zulrah is definitely harder than Jad. So if you can't get your Fire Cape, but you can kill Zulrah, just grind out Zulrah until you can, comfortably kill Zulrah. Way harder than Jad. If you can kill Zulrah, like 20% of the time, you can definitely kill Jad.
Yeah.
Just in general.
But I know people who are very good at raiding, but have never killed Zulrah. They try kill Zulrah, and they go through the same problem.
Yeah, because the learning curve essentially is muscle memory, which does suck, but that's just kind of how it is. It's just it's something you have to, it's like a skill you have to grind out,
Mm-hmm.
Just something you have to kind of just keep at, and then you'll eventually be able to do it.
Yep. Now for Zulrah though, it is a solo only boss, so you can't do it with anybody else. But if you are looking to do some sort of boss and you want to learn, see what's going on in the CC, message in the Discord, because a lot of people do bossing, and I know tons of people have gone on trips for their first time with other people, to Bandos or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a lot of fun and good money to be had.
Yeah.
So thank you for your question. If you have more, let us know. There's a ton of bosses and other things out there, and
Yeah.
I think we've kind of at least done everything once. You've done Theater of Blood once, at least, right? Twice. So we have experience there at least.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to like. At least I struggle just like talking about bosses openly like this because like I feel like there's so much to it. Like Zara like specifically has, or even Barrows or KBD. Like there's so much to it that it's hard to just like talk about because it's like
it's easy to show someone because you can say, "Hey, bring this gear. Here's a picture. Follow me."
Yeah,
and then you kind of slowly walk through it.
And the main thing is like having it sound organized but not overwhelming. Like I don't know, it's kind of difficult to explain how to do a boss over a podcast. So if you have other questions, like, you know, I mean, I'm always down to try, but the explanation on the podcast might be janky at times, I guess. Just the nature of how it is, right?
We're sorry. Anyways, we're going to move it on because we still got 2 things to talk about. 2 events going on. I've been blabbering on about these the past couple of weeks, but they are pretty cool events and don't want anyone missing out if you might not be aware of it. So, the most upcoming event is Bhooleys Blacksmith giveaway. He is giving away a dragon longsword. It looks awesome. There's an awesome plaque that it's going to be on, so you can hang it. But if anyone breaks into your house, you can still grab it and use it to fight back. I don't know how sharp it is, but still, it's going to be blunt for sure. She'll do some damage, like the size of my leg.
Yeah.
So that thing's pretty cool. If you're interested in winning, he is going to be giving it away on October 20th. So get in contact with Bhooly ASAP if you want to get in on that. It is going to be at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which is noon Eastern Standard Time. So you got to be a little bit of an early bird, but it is I'd say it's well worth it. So on top of that though, he will be doing a snowball event right afterwards, which is strictly for fun. There might be a prize for the winner, but it's basically a battle royale using only wind strikes. So everyone's got a fighting chance for the most part. I mean, if you're level 3, you can still participate. You don't got 10 health to deal with, though. And our other event going on, we're going to be doing a Connect 4 tournament. All you need to do is send me your username that you will be participating with, and I will put it into brackets, and we'll probably have it open for 2 weeks, maybe 3, and it's going to be a Connect 4 tournament. Each thing's going to be, best 2 out of 3. I'll be reffing. If Deegan's around, he will be reffing, so we'll have 2 games going on at once. And when you win, you move on to the next bracket. So yeah, all you have to do is send me your actual username, but make sure you can attend. It will be in the evening, Eastern Standard Time. And the date we're thinking is November 10th, but if enough people sign up, we might try to have it November 9th and 10th. So we don't want it to be going on for like 12 hours. So we can have 2 days of it. So yeah, all you have to do is send me your username. I'll get into the brackets. It'll probably close a week before the event so that you can see who you'll actually be paired up against. And I'm hoping I could stream it because that would be pretty cool. So if you're not able to make it, you could still maybe watch it if you're interested on it. And if you don't want to participate in the Connect 4 event, you can still come out and hang out and spectate the games and just chill. Anyways, you're probably wondering, how can you get in contact with us? Well, you can hang out with us in-game at WildCC. Our Facebook is facebook.com/The Wilderness Podcast. We have a Facebook page now. It is much better for discussions and sharing things, so if you're interested in doing that on Facebook, join the group. Our Twitter is @TheWildernessRS, and our email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. Our Discord is pinned on both Twitter and Facebook. And that's it. Deegan, you got your stuff?
Twitch, Twitter, DeeganRS.
All right. My Twitch is The Dills. I don't have many plans for streaming, but I might stream off that. I might make one for just the podcast. I'm not really too sure yet, but more on that later. Okay. So our song of the week, I'm going to randomly select Way of the Enchanter. This is unlocked in the dungeon below Lunar Isle. And a small little analysis. I always love when they have an analysis. This piece is very percussion-oriented, featuring a wide array of such instruments throughout the song. It features a synth string melody. A piano is present at a few points in the song for a short solo. It was composed by Ian Taylor, And yeah, sorry, my dog's making a ruckus. So that means we got to get out of here.
Yep.
So thanks everyone for listening, and tune in next week for 107.
Yeah. All right, guys, have a good one.
Take care, everybody.